Eden hung in the lower heaven, a living island green in the afterglow of the first fire, before stone had gathered into worlds. Its roots trailed over brightness and the vast dark, its rivers bent into light, and leaves remembered the breath of love. When Star returned, the garden answered her with trembling green, yet under the roots a closed house held its breath. Beneath it, Void had built house, table, covenant, and a place where the wound image could be called forth. She had made a name for the crime, and the name was mercy. Star looked upon the name and knew that Void had stolen it for the keeping of a crime. The wound called to her, and life turned toward the sealed dark while the house stood silent. Then Star went down into the house beneath Eden, and the light of life entered the chamber law had closed. The door remembered closing. The table remembered keeping. Every ribbon and thread grew visible before her. At the center of the chamber, Love's own murdered body, now called dead, was held upright by beam, ribbon, thread, and command. The name of Love had been bent to mean keeping. Her dark hair had been stripped and bleached toward star silver, but it had failed into blonde, beaten silver and lace-disguised spoil that no tenderness could hide. The lamb bent toward the body. He should have been allowed to mourn, his mouth and wool-stained yellow from feeding where grief had been made a command. A silver line was drawn from him into Dead's wrong breath, red command, silver life, and buried gold crossed through both, and Scar's unfinished after-image gathered at their meeting. Void stood among the living shards of her halo, one hand lifted beneath Dead's bowed face, as though she still hoped a careful touch could make the chamber gentle. Star did not recoil from Dead's altered body. She recoiled from the violation done to her sister, and her silver halo opened white-hot above the table. Eden answered her fury. Roots pressed through the chamber walls. The rivers above lifted from their beds. Dead gasped. The lamb folded with a cry, and Scar flared through the terror. Within the unfinished radiance, Scar looked toward Star and whispered, "Stop." Star caught the storm within herself before life tore the captives apart. "I see you," she said to Scar. Life knew the office awakening within the young maiden, lust, appetite reaching toward what it desired. Then Star turned back to the crime, and her voice came low and broken. "Where is Love?" Void looked to Dead with aching relief. "Here. I kept her. She breathes because I would not let her vanish." Star followed the failed silver through Love's hair and the lamb's bowed neck. "You killed our sister and made her wear my absence." The shards drew close around Void. "Everything I love leaves. You left. Love defended the leaving that wounded me. This breath is proof that remaining can still be mercy." Star's light held steady over the lamb. Love did not take the lamb. She stopped you from taking him. She looked from the lamb to Love's held body. The lamb left because he was alive. I left because I was free. Love died because you killed her. Void gathered the ribbons where they strained Dead's wrists. "Return is loss. I could not let another beloved go beyond me." Star answered, "Then grieve. Do not make leaving a crime." The lamb tried to pull back from Dead's breast, but red command tightened, and his silver passed into her. Star said, "You made the living feed upon the dead, and the dead feed upon the living, so neither could leave you." Void's hand shook over the borrowed breath. "I made a way for them to remain." Star said, "You made captivity feed upon captivity and called it love." Void looked upon the visible breath as though it could acquit her. "I saved love," Star answered. "Then we no longer speak the same word." In Void's mouth, love meant keeping. Life meant remaining, mercy meant preservation, and covenant meant ownership. In Star's mouth love opened the hand, life moved toward becoming, mercy released, and covenant promised without owning. This was the first Babel, love divided before tongues were divided. Star reached toward Dead, and all the forced circle answered. The lamb's breath thinned, Dead's wrong breath clung to it, and Scar's unfinished glow opened like hunger. Star stayed her hand, for force would spend the lamb, break Dead's dependent breath, and seize Scar's entangled life. Seizure could not answer seizure. Star gave Void no home in her returning. She sealed Eden's roots against the house of keeping. Void gathered Dead and the lamb, the threads and living shards, and Scar sleeping within the loop. As law she opened a lower room in the vastness and carried the house into it. Eden closed behind her, and in the lower dark, distance waited for command.